Namaste, Acharya ji.
Namaste.
Welcome one and all. It's a very special session. We have with us today Acharya Prashant ji, and most of us we know Acharya Prashant ji very well. He is an alumnus of IIT Delhi, IIT and IIM Ahmedabad, and he's also an ex-civil services officer. And I myself have been following Acharya ji for a very long time. And what attracted me more towards his talks was his pure logic. Rather, that lecture, the first lecture which I heard, in which he said, how will you recognize God if he comes in front of you? If you have no experience of God, then how will you recognize even if he is right in front of you? So that was the defining moment, I can say. From that time, I started listening to his lectures, and I find them very enlightening. And I'm sure all of us will be enlightened further today by Acharya ji. So for some time, he will enlighten us, and after that, there will be a question and answer session. So I request Acharya ji to please start the session.
Thank you for the kind introduction. There couldn't have been a more important topic than the one we have at hand today. Sanatan Dharma and Vedanta. So there is Sanatan Dharma and Vedanta. Sanatan first. All that is can be very neatly, very clearly classified into three. The timeless, Nitya, the eternal, Shashwat, and the time-bound. You could call that Vyavaharik, Pratibhasik, Mayavi, Kalabadh, anything. Purely only the truth is Sanatan. Sanatan refers to the timeless, that which is beyond time, not even that which does not change in the course of time, but beyond time. Only the truth really is Sanatan. And what is the truth? As we said, that which is beyond time. How do we know what is beyond time? We first need to know what is within time. All that the mind can think of, conceptualize, imagine, speak of, is within the realm of time. So the Sanatan is really beyond the mind's reach. It is beyond the capacity of the words to describe. That is Sanatan. Now, why is that Sanatan topical, meaningful, significant at all? Because as we are, as the mind is, it is constantly in need of, in search of something that is beyond itself. Anything in the world, in the grasp of mind, simply fails to quench the mind, bring it to rest, bring it to contentment. We said mind is constantly in a flux. The mind is constantly seeking, searching. So that is Shashwat. That is eternal. That brings us to the second part of the classification. The first part was the truth alone is Nitya and Sanatan. The second is throughout the flow of time, there is a certain thing that is constant. This constancy is the fundamental human tendency. It is the fundamental vritti that we have. So, in a loose way, we could even say that the existence itself is Sanatan, but that would not be very correct. Only the truth is Sanatan. And then there is the content of mind, which is all time bound. It rises one moment, it falls the next moment. Now these three exist. We experience mostly that which is time bound. Attractions, repulsions, desires, likes, dislikes, happiness, sorrow, attainment, loss. We live in all that. All that is time bound. Most people fail to see beyond things that are a product of time. We are so enamored by them, so captivated by them, so absorbed, so obsessed in our daily events that it becomes very difficult to look beyond them. So the first thing, if one wants peace, which is the objective of dharma, is to see what is constant. And what is constant? Our restlessness is constant. Our search is constant. And what are we searching for? We are searching for something that is beyond us. So what then is Sanatan Dharma? Dharma asks what to do, how to live. Who am I? And hence, what should I do? That's Dharma. Sanatan Dharma implies your only job, your only task or responsibility is to look for that which is beyond you. That is Sanatan Dharma. Nothing else should concern you. And hence only these two entities really matter. The truth, which is the destination of the seeker, and the seeking, which is a constant in the flow of time. What keeps changing? The modes and methods of seeking. The colors keep changing, the scenes keep changing, and the sounds, the background remains constant. It's as if we are asking for something without knowing what we are asking for. Therefore, we keep asking for it in 1,000 unconscious ways. The first step in the dharmic process is to recognize that irrespective of what we are doing, we are asking for just one thing. And the second step is to see that the one thing that we are asking for is not a thing within time. In fact, it is not a thing at all. That is Sanatan Dharma. To understand that irrespective of the period of time we are living in, the mind has remained the same. Its fundamental tendency is unaltered, and its fundamental tendency is to seek liberation from itself. That is a constant. 50,000 years back, 5,000 years back, 500 years back, today, and 500 years into the future, the human tendency, the fundamental I tendency, the fundamental ego, the mother ego tendency, would always be asking for contentment and fullness, a closure and ending, a final rest. A final rest in the Sanatan. So that is Sanatan Dharma. Doing only that which will take you beyond yourself, beyond time, beyond your dissatisfaction, discontentment, restlessness. That is Sanatan Dharma. Therefore, what cannot be Sanatan Dharma? Anything that asks you to take a piece of time-bound concept as the truth cannot be Sanatan. Anything, for example, any religion that starts with saying that you have to believe in such and such things if you want to be called a good follower of this religion, that cannot be Sanatan. Because beliefs are all within the mind. And that which is Nitya, Sanatan, is beyond mind. Within the mind there is obviously so much, an entire universe. But that's of no point. Because all that is within the mind, we have seen how it fails to satisfy the mind. So if we come up with a belief and say that this belief is the truth, and you believe in it, and you say that I surrender to it unconditionally, then that kind of a thing just cannot be Sanatan. Similarly, if one is simply following traditions in the name of dharma, that cannot be Sanatan. Because traditions come and go, we have seen that. Rituals come and go, we have seen that. That is what separates Sanatan Dharma from so many other so-called religious streams. They might be religious, but they are not Sanatan. Because their allegiance, their devotion, their loyalty is not towards something that is beyond the mind. They are trying to give a high place, a lot of value and respect to stuff that is very much within the mind. And when you do that, that might console you, that might even satisfy you for a while, that might help a small or large group of people to organize below the umbrella of a shared belief. But that kind of a thing is not timeless, let alone eternal. It is not Sanatan. So, Sanatan Dharma, therefore, is very simple. It concerns itself only with two. One, that is beyond time, and the second, that which occupies all of time. Irrespective of the point of time one is located or situated or present in. Irrespective of age or gender or nationality or economic status, there is something common in all of us. And that commonality is not really the truth. It is rather the presence of that which is seeking the truth. Though we do not, in a very obvious way, in a very professed way, seek the truth, we rather seek peace. It's just that we often do not know that there can be no peace without truth. If you ask people, what do you want? They'll say, we are stressed out. We need some relaxation. We want peace. Hardly anybody wants the truth. Though the fact is that you cannot have real peace without truth. Peace that is not founded on truth proves to be very harmful. So that is Sanatan Dharma. To constantly move towards that which will take you beyond yourself, because within yourself there is no peace. That is Sanatan Dharma. Now, how is Sanatan Dharma related to Vedanta? Vedanta talks exactly of these two only and has no place for miscellaneous stuff. There is the mind and there is the truth. The mind is referred to in myriad ways. The truth too is sometimes called the self, sometimes called Brahma, sometimes called Nitya. But it is very, very clear, irrespective of the breadth of Vedantic literature, that only these two are really present there. Vedanta does not concern itself with community or or identities of various kinds or rituals or practices, which is very interesting because the Vedic corpus starts with Anushtan. Anushtan meaning practice, ritual, karmakand, a lot of that. That's how the Vedas start in the mantra part, in the Samhita part. And then as they journey through, the Brahmins, the Aranyaks, and finally the Upanishads are reached, what you find is a total absence of prescribed action. There is no emphasis at all on do's and don'ts, on commandments, on worshipping in a certain way, on sacrifices, nothing. All of that is just gone by the time we come to the Upanishads. All that is left is a very relentless, very austere, very pure investigation into the truth by the mind. Only these two entities remain, the truth and the mind. Mind stuff is discarded as trivial. So truth, Sanatan, Nitya, timeless. Mind, Shashwat, eternal. And what is discarded is mind stuff, Kalbadh, time bound. No heed, no respect is paid to what you think of, what your feelings are, what you are attached to, what you like, what you do not like, where you come from, how much money you have, how much knowledge you have, what's your gender, which community do you hail from. All these things are just kept aside. That is Vedanta. Therefore, you would see that what we call as Sanatan Dharma is nothing but Vedanta itself. One cannot be Sanatani if one is not a Vedanti. Without Vedanta, there would be the Sanatan. Obviously, the Sanatan is not dependent on anything, totally unconditional, but there would be no Sanatan Dharma. The Sanatan is unconditional, but Dharma is for man to tread. And Vedanta suggests the Dharma that would carry man to Sanatan. So Sanatan Dharma is de facto Vedanta itself. Vedanta, the summit of the Vedic literature. Vedanta, the very essence, the juice, the nectar of the Vedas. That is Sanatan Dharma. I repeat, even as we talk on what Sanatan Dharma is, it is extremely important to realize, negate, and reject what Sanatan Dharma is not. Because unfortunately, in the Hindu fold, there is a lot going on in the name of Sanatan Dharma. As someone who respects the Vedas, as someone who is absolutely in love with Vedanta, I clarify here that Vedanta does not concern itself with what we believe in, culture or civilization or ways of thinking or ways of life or this or that. Vedanta absolutely dismisses them. It says only that is to be accepted or retained, which helps you move into the truth. All else is just a burden on the already fatigued mind. So please drop it. So that is Vedanta, pure and simple Sanatan Dharma.